Love to see these two teams in the winners finals. Both of them had to work their way to get to this point off of some tough semifinal matchups. And if I'm looking at this best of 5, the overview, I am really eyeing that game 2 that you referenced, that Slayer on Aquarius. I think out of the series, that has to be the one that starts Space Station Gaming. If they're going to mount an upset, we know how strong Space Station can be on Aquarius, CTF, but also on the Slayer side. And even just 2 weeks ago, we saw OpTic go down, win 50-49 on that Slayer Aquarius. That was over Sentinels. So we definitely know that OpTic can be brought down to the final slays in that map and mode. But it all starts here. It's going to be that King of the Hill on recharge, and the first hill, not easy to secure, and the camo just as challenging.
Yeah, that's a big camo kill right there. Camo will be off the board. It is burnt, and now with C-Plat control out of APG OpTic, they're going to look to take a little bit of control here and a little bit of time. They have the 4 spawns onto A side, but you see the collapse right here. This is what they need to do. They need to collapse on the isolated spawners, then flip the spawns over. That's going to be 3 dead for OpTic.
But it's 3 dead for Space Station. So even though there was 3 down on the side of OpTic, I don't think that Space Station are going to be able to capitalize much. If anything, maybe they can get some map position. But look at where Lucid and the rest of OpTic are. They have that C-Plat, which has beautiful sight lines over the objective. Add to it the shock rifle in the hands of the MVP. Lucid finds one. Nearly takes the head off of Stellar for the double. But as he goes down, so do Trippy and APG. And this is where Space Station can start to get a chunk of time.
Yeah, SSG got a couple of first initial kills there, and you know, being on top glass is Lucid with that shock rifle. Very difficult position, especially with that hill being bottom center and you know the C-Plat being so prominent. It's very difficult to stay alive up there, but so good if you're able to stay alive and do massive damage with that shock. He ends up going down, so SSG gonna bring this hill back and potentially tie here shortly.
They did get some time on it, but not able to tie it up just yet. APG's fighting down below, but it's Eco versus Formal up here, like the mid ground. Eco going for the grapple rotation. He might catch the back of Formal as he rounds the corner. The pinch is in as Stellar gets the kill, but Eco has to worry because it's now Trippy who's on the chase. 2 players from SSG hiding in the bottom of blue pipes, and Trippy tosses the plasma to hold them both back. This hill is nearly tied, but right now it's OpTic who have that position on the hill.
Yeah, they have the position. They also have the camo, I believe, in the hands of either Trippy or Lucid there. So that's going to potentially allow them to get that hill time. Trippy sitting in this corner, and you see that back corner as well. He can potentially, if 2 of his teammates go down or if he's feeling pressure, he can potentially sit in that back corner where he's out of the hill. A lot of players don't utilize that and potentially not give them that information. It's not going to be a factor, though. OpTic can get that very first hill, and little do you know, they're already set up for this second one, but Stellar going to try and stop that from happening.
Oh, Stellar is gonna stop at least Formal, but Lucid once again looking like a quarterback with that plasma grenade across the map. Turns it into a double kill, turns it into a killing spree, and the shock rifle with plenty of ammo left to work with back in the hands of Lucid. But he's down in numbers. It's just Lucid and Trippy. As Trippy has to hit the respawn screen, Lucid needs to play like the one-man army if he's gonna stay alive.
Yeah, Lucid was trying to potentially get those spawns on the top glass area. We saw a player there from SSG blocking those spawns from happening. So SSG is going to have full control of this long haul side, and because of that, it's going to take another push here from OpTic, and that will mean SSG take more time on this hill. But the problem is, this hill is one of the more difficult hills to break. So OpTic have to play this slow and make sure that they get a pick first initially before they go and push for this hill.
Stellar is down to 1 shot, but so too is APG across the map. Formal gets the double kill, and now Stellar looking like he needed to win that fight outright to hold map control. It's still APG versus Stellar. And now Stellar might be the last hope for Space Station to break through on this hill as he finally finds the kill. An epic duel, nearly a Star Wars level duel between the 2 players across the map.
Yeah, and that's what I like this. That's why I love this map so much, Magic. Right there, Lucid was not in the play. He comes off spawn onto A, but he's still able to assist OpTic Gaming and getting this hill. And because of that cross damage, they're able to get the second cap. 2-0, OpTic lead.
All right, Active, I can appreciate that you're trying to make me like this map, but historically, Recharge is responsible for keeping me out of Onyx, okay? So it's a little bit personal here, but I hear what you're saying. You know, maybe it's not me. Maybe it's just the team fire isn't there, because right now the team fire is in place for OpTic. That's why they have this lead.
OpTic looks so solid, but you know, SSG, they've got this initial control here, but 2 go down, and that means OpTic smell blood in the water. They're gonna push aggressively, but a great play by Stellar here to stay alive. If he can potentially delay until SSG make this push through on that heal side, this could be some massive damage done, and that's exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna get 1 dead onto APG. Trade comes out once again.
Man, looking at the stats, he's pretty even from side to side. We do see Eco 12 and 6, however, doubling up kills to deaths. We're almost trying to add some kills to that. Lucid with a shock rifle, looking like he spawns with that weapon in hand at this point. But it's Formal who finds the breakthrough kills just in time. Space Station already had this hill at about 90% captured. And as the kill comes through, Eco, that overall slain leader, has to hit the respawn screen. And now OpTic, they might just rob this hill away if they can hold on to the defensive setup.
Yeah, that's what makes OpTic so good, right? They might allow SSG to get most of that hill, but they wait for that perfect push. They wait for those kills that are in unison, the 3 kills at a time or 4 kills at a time, where they can get that full control. And you see it right there. They've got a full setup locked in with the cross shot once again. 3-0 OpTic, 1 more, and they'll close out this first game.
That's it. That's the key to recharge. The crossfire from OpTic really showing us textbook for how to lock down recharge, and hill after hill. It's been enough. Even on that 3rd hill that Space Station needed to get back in this game, they couldn't hold on for the full 100%. The camo does get burned, that Lucid pop. Space Station might be able to rally off of this, but they have to deal with APG on the hill, and he's not going to be easy to take down. He gets the trade before he's down.
Yeah, that's such a big trade, right? Because it brings a 2v2 situation, and then now 3 down for SSG because APG got that trade. OpTic have a numbers advantage, and they also have control of this hill and also control of Seaside, and forcing those spawns to happen on pipes. So SSG have to make a long trek to get all the way to this hill, and they're not going to do it without taking some massive damage. 2 down once again for SSG.
Yeah, you see the level of desperation right now from SSG, and only from like that 3rd hill capture do you see very one-sided on the slays. It was Space Station was keeping it even, primarily due to Eco. He was 14 and 7 at one point, but now once the game starts to snowball, you start to see those desperate pushes, those desperate attempts, and it's not going to be enough. OpTic locked down game number 1 in decisive fashion with a 4-0 victory.
Yeah, you see, this is why they're the best team in the world, and it comes down to like everyone knew, they definitely did not perform in the last 4K. They you know them not making it to the grand finals is just not something you know OpTic to do. You always see the name OpTic in Halo, and you know they will be in the grand finals. And I think that struck a fire under them. I think that's why they were probably working hard on bot review. They're making sure to dot their I's and cross their T's coming into this, and they've done just that. I'm going to tell you, OpTic look completely different than we've seen in the past couple weeks and even month, and it's great to see. It's great to see a team like them reach that new level.
And I think it's not us being like a fan of one team over the other. I think ultimately, like at least for casters or for us that like are watching the overall competition, we just want to see every team playing at their best, at their highest level of potential, because that will level up the competition, it'll level up the tournaments, it'll level up the gameplay, and ultimately it'll lead to a better overall like viewing experience, competitive level. So we're just looking for every team to bring their best. And I thought we saw some of the best from Space Station in the semifinals when they took down FaZe, but whatever that was, whatever that spark, that power boost, I think you called it flipping the switch, it seems like somebody might have shut it down, and it's OpTic, at least for game 1.
Oh, it's time to launch the rocket ship once again. Flip the switch once again, because you're absolutely right. You said it really well, and that's a perfect way to explain it, because, everyone says, like, Active, you're a fanboy. You're a fanboy of FaZe. No, you're right, Magic. I just want to see everyone play at their best. So I might sound like I'm biased, but I'm not. I just want to see top-level Halo gameplay, and that's exactly it. Space Station, I have been all over them. I talk about this org, all the time. I love the org. The team needs to catch up with the org. I want to love the team just as much as I love the org, and I want them to play their best, and we haven't seen that out of SSG. That was just game number 1, though. Coming into game number 2, let's see if they can bring it back.
Well, I'm gonna only disagree on one point. I am biased, and you know what I'm biased for? A game 5. That's what I want. So in that case, I'm rooting for Space Station just because I want to see this series go the distance. And Aquarius has historically been a strong map for SSG, although you wouldn't know it from looking at this opening break. OpTic once again controlling the pace of the game with an early 6-3 lead.
And they consistently have this camo to work with. APG gonna be able to live with that, and we'll see what damage he's able to do. But those power-ups, such a big factor, and especially controlling these spawns and getting those initial kills. That camo was gonna run out, so you know he doesn't get the value he wanted out of it anyway. But it does not end up in the hands of SSG, which is good for OpTic. That being said, a 1-kill game. OpTic lead by 1.
All right, listen, I was talking about APG in the semifinals because he was playing huge, but I think it was a little bit of missed timing there on the camo because it ran out right when he was in the open at top mid. Maybe he could have timed that a little bit better to have a little bit more support, a little bit more cover. Meanwhile, though, it's OpTic still holding on to this lead. Lucid has the Heatwave Formal using a mixture of that BR and Commando plus the 2 thrusters. Don't underestimate those. Off the respawn, it looks like APG is right back in the fight with another slay. And unfortunately, the kill leader for Space Station from game number 1, Eco, is still looking like Tony's cousin Owen.
Oh, Tony's cousin Owen. We hear about that guy so much. Another player we hear about is Eco, and Eco has definitely stepped up.
There we go.
You know, in Halo Infinite, and, you know, in this tournament in general. Hopefully he can continue to do so here. He's got 3 assists to work with. This camo, though, going to be extremely important for SSG to get their hands on. Do they have the positioning to do so?
Ooh.
No. Once again, OpTic top control. That's going to solidify this camo with maybe 1 more kill. And that's what's the big story for me is OpTic continuing to control these power-ups.
Well, he had the camo, but again, burnt out, kind of familiar to what we saw from the first round of camo, where even though Space Station aren't able to win it over, they really limit the effectiveness of it at the very least. It's something that's keeping Space Station within arm's reach of this game, and Bound gets a kill with the Heatwave, that 1 team wipe disparity, that 4-point difference between the 2 of them. So crucial kill for Bound. He has 1 more round of that Heatwave left to work with. And if he rounds this corner, it looks like it's all of OpTic stacking up. Stellar finds a big pick onto 1, and Bound using the thruster to get to some cover. Is it enough, though? He finds 1, 2, 3 players from OpTic all collapsing on it.
Yeah, a little bit aggressive there. OpTic was ready for that push, but Bound for me is the X factor, right? When Bound starts to, you know, pop off and he's starting to play really well, you can tell by his movement, how he's moving in the game, if he's starting to feel good. When Bound starts to pop off, that's when we really start to see SSG come into their own, when he's playing his role. And so for that reason, he's going to be the X factor for me in this game. We'll see if he's able to carry the weight a little bit on this SSG side.
Yeah, I think part of, oh my goodness, unfortunately, it looks like the person that's carrying the weight is Formal inside of OpTic instead with the triple kill. And you weren't wrong to be talking about Bound, but it seems like everything that Space Station sends, OpTic has a counter for it. Right now, that counter is Formal, 7 and 4. The Dynamos are going to keep his shield from being able to regen, but it's the teammates Trippy, APG with a double that provide enough cover that even after receiving all of that damage, Formal stays alive.
Yeah, and Formal stays alive, but and also playing that role, that anchor role, where he's able to put so much damage in across the map. And one thing I'm seeing from the other members of OpTic are they're kind of playing in 2s. They're kind of playing very tight, and you know, Formal playing this off role and them playing tight like that, it allows for, you know, him to put that damage in and open up the map and potentially get those kills. And look at this, it's a massive lead here for OpTic, an 8-kill lead right now. Make that 9 as the nade goes through.
I think Bound might have the camo, if I'm not mistaken, on the side of SSG. You talked about him being the pivotal player. If he's gonna get the turnaround, he does have that camo. He does have the Heatwave and the thrusters. This is their chance. SSG cannot let this game run away any further. Bound might just be the equalizer. He gets 2 kills. He's looking for Lucid. The thruster comes in, but Lucid is unfazed. He stays alive, and Bound's run is cut short.
I mean, I'm curious, like, if, you know, you have the names turned on and you see Lucid in front of you, like, Bound did not look like Bound in that last engagement. I'm not saying he's scared of Lucid, but Lucid, you know, the MVP of last season, you gotta be a little worried about him. And look at his score line right now: 10 kills, 9 assists, and only 5 deaths. That is a beautiful score line for the side of Lucid.
Yeah, if I run into active in matchmaking, I'm absolutely gonna choke out of fear. I'm gonna be freaked out. I'm gonna be like in my diamond lobbies what are you doing here? Then I'm gonna just like throw the whole game. I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen. Hopefully for Space Station, they can find a little bit of grit and tenacity. It's looking pretty dire as the lead is a 13, now 14-point lead, but the only thing we know about Halo is that anything is possible.
Yeah, I just gotta see a different, I just gotta see something out of SSG here, though, for me to believe this comeback is gonna happen. Yes, I 100% agree with you. Anything can really happen, but we've gotta see just, you know, something, a little bit of a spark of some sort out of SSG. And right now, all we're seeing is OpTic understanding that all they need to do is trade in these scenarios, and that's exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna continue to be trading these kills out, and, you know, if there's any hope right here for SSG, it's going to be that camo on top center. They've got to make sure to get that, but look at right away, OpTic has top control once again while that camo's coming up.
Oh, and APG has the flank as well, just applying pressure. Formal gets a kill, APG gets a kill, and they just cleared out the map right at the perfect time. Stellar as the last alive against Formal, ends up as a trade. That camo, though, scooped up because OpTic had the numbers advantage. And I just want to shout out the veterans. Lucid, we got Formal, each of them combined 29 slays between the two of them. And unfortunately, on the side of Space Station, you see players like Penguin that are really not playing to the level, the capacity that we know that they can. So it's going to be OpTic with another decisive win. Space Station avoid the stake-tacular, but not by much.
And that's a big factor there for me as well. You know, I talked about Bound being that X factor on the team, but you know, we've seen times where Penguin will play, you know, essentially have like a little bit of a rough game in terms of KD. It doesn't mean he's, you know, for anyone watching or that might be new to Halo, coming from COD regardless, it doesn't mean that, you know, him having a terrible KD doesn't mean that he's not doing anything in the game. He's definitely pulling his weight, but, you know, not playing as well as he potentially could be. And then we've seen him play phenomenally. And we've seen him slay like the Bounds of the world or the Renegades. So I'm not really sure what causes that inconsistency in players like Penguin, but I mean, we know that, you know, when this SSG roster is playing their best, when they're all playing at least 100%, you know, we see a different, you know, squad. They almost play differently. It's like more confidence comes through and they play more aggressively. Whereas if they're not playing so well or having a little bit of a rough day, you'll see more. I feel like they play maybe more passive, where they're not, you know, taking advantage of that positioning as well.
I agree with you, and I think we're not seeing that confident, assertive version of Space Station that we saw in the semifinals. Instead, they look a little bit overwhelmed, maybe a little bit checked. They have the ability to regain, rebound, no unintended, back into this series. But the point that I hear you making, like kind of reading between the lines a little bit, is that SSG, they need to be at 100% if they're going to take even a game right now against OpTic. And that's something we're not seeing. We're not seeing all four players playing at their level of ability. That inconsistency is starting to hurt SSG.
Yeah, and you know, we can talk about the online scenario because, you know, it is a factor. You know, online and on land, this game is very, very different. We know SSG to be a very, very great land team, but with the amount of importance in the side of the points, like we've talked about, that can't be a factor anymore. You've got to be able to adapt to that online gameplay.
I think that's a really fair point to make for Space Station, and especially with those shifts to how points work. Season 2, online has to be at the same level as on land. You can't be just a one-sided team. OpTic look like they're trying to make themselves the team that is that well-rounded off of that HCS Charlotte win, off of that #1 seed, and hopefully here today, if they can hold on to that seeding position, Space Station do have control now of the oddball, of the overshield. Penguin misses on that melee. The team fire is there to get the takedown onto Lucid, scoops up a little bit of a sidekick, and he might round the corner into a 1v1 against Trippy. Instead, doubles back, trying to hold a little bit of defense.
This is what we like to see right here. This is exactly what I like to see. He does get that kill, but again, controlling that overshield. They've got 20 seconds of ball time now. The rotation in the hands of Bound, which is also a very great thing to see. And you're seeing a little bit more teamwork out of this SSG side. And again, once again, Bound has the power weapon in hand in that heat wave. So if they can continue to control weapons like this, you know, we'll see a little bit of a different story out of them.
Unfortunately, Bound goes down, and the last round of that heat wave is going to go into the hands of Trippy. Only one round, but look at the Shroud screen as well. That can be a deadly combination between the two. Trippy kind of holding the line here at Cuts, and OpTic are mirroring with the strategy we saw from Space Station with the tower side hold, but Trippy turns his back a little bit too soon, unsuspecting of Stellar rotating around behind. Stellar nearly catches that Oddball on its way off the map. But unfortunately, it looks like we might have a little bit of a crash. We'll come back to you with an update. And yes, we did. It looks like Formal might have gotten disconnected from the match.
Well, there it is. But I got to point out the start of SSG right there. They looked extremely solid at the start of that game. You know, getting that 20 seconds right off the bat initially was very important. And, you know, you can build off that momentum. So hopefully they can do the same. You know, when this restart happens, I would assume it's just going to go to a full restart, but maybe SSG, you know, maybe they'll end up playing the differential regardless. Definitely a great job starting off, getting those power weapons, getting the heat wave and that overshield. I think that's definitely going to be what they need in order to find success.
Well, you said that they needed to flip the switch or find some power or reignite the rocket. So maybe that was a little bit of it. Maybe that was them just kind of mission control, setting up and prepping for the launch for Space Station. At least that's what we're all hoping for. I mean, all of us that want a competitive Game 5 in this series, at least, hopefully. We'll have to wait and see what the ultimate ruling is on that. But I like the opening break from Space Station. Again, it was that power-up control and a little bit more of a confidence boost, which winning over items like the heat wave or the sniper, or I think most particularly the overshield, that can be a little bit of the confidence boost. Do you think that's what Space Station need to rely on to kind of come back to their full form?
Yeah, and it's just one little tiny piece of the puzzle, right? Because if they're getting overshield, it means they're understanding and controlling sides of the map that are important. You know, obviously with that overshield coming up, and we know OpTic is so good at just playing positioning when those power-ups are coming up, and that's what they did in that first game. And you know, if SSG is able to do that, if they're able to get that tower control, and then, you know, in turn make sure they get the shroud screen for those OS pops, then yes, I think that's going to be a good tell that they're in the game, that their head is in the game, and that they're making correct decisions to grant them that success that they're looking for.
I think that's a great breakdown, and hopefully Space Station will come back with more of the same, as we do see that Formal is reconnecting to the lobby and also the in-game conversation there. It looks like both teams are agreeing to a full reset. And I know you had mentioned active, like maybe there was an option for playing differential that would give Space Station a little bit of that advantage on the oddball that they had. But I personally don't remember exactly what the difference in points was. It seems like both teams have agreed that it was close enough to just fully reset.
Yeah, I think it was only like 2 points or something at the end of the day, which, you know, I think if you're going to make an argument about 3 points or 2 points, you're showing weakness, Magic. Okay. And you can't do that. You can't show weakness.
Need 3 points. Okay.
Right. You can't go to OpTic game and be like, yeah, you know what? We want those 3 points right now, or else we're done. We're disqualifying you. No, you can't show weakness. So SSG is going to be like, whatever. A full re is, you know, generally what happens in this situation. But Magic, I'm focused on this start right here, and that's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on the start of SSG in this round number 1. Do they start off as strong, or does OpTic read their starting strat or their you know, their starting position and counter it completely? That's the thing I'm looking for here coming back into this game.
Can you be coach active for a minute? If you're coach for SSG, do you stick to the same opening break, or do you have to adjust, assuming that OpTic is going to adjust to your initial break?
Thank the Lord I'm not a coach, because we would not ever win a championship. But if I was, we would change it up. I think that this OpTic squad is very, very intelligent. I think they've read, you know, that initial, you know, break. I think SSG ended up getting 2 kills right off the bat there, so they obviously were heavy on one side. To be honest, I don't remember exactly what side that was, but here we go. Getting into this game, let's see what the start looks like.
Well, looks like Eco's gonna toss his nades out to top mid, flanking through Cuts, but he gets stuck instead. Trippy gets a little bit of a cluster luck on that plasma. 2 for 1 special. Space Station had a strong opening strat, but now it has been countered by OpTic. APG has the oddball, APG has the heat wave. I think your question is answered. OpTic Gaming made the adjustments, and apparently those adjustments have worked out.
Yeah, but you know, exactly. SSG had top tower, which is the big thing for me. You know, Penguin controlling that top tower side. That OS should be up here, and it's going to be in the hands of Stellar. So SSG still do get that overshield, and OpTic, they're not going to have a lot of time to work with. But look, Magic, that OS is pretty much null and void. And look at that. That's what OpTic does so well. They find the problem, they get rid of it. Exterminator in the house. That's it. That OS is gone, and OpTic continue to maintain their lead.
Double
Oh my goodness, Trippy, are you kidding me? Another double kill. We saw from the opening break over at Cuts. 2 more kills to his name. Keeps that oddball in play. You would have thought that OpTic would have played the ball, but that's that confidence level. And right now, the confidence looking very one-sided on that side of OpTic.
They've got 2 dead. A snipe in the hands of Formal. That's also a very scary position. You talked about it yourself. That sniper rifle also being a factor of things to control. And Formal being on this B side, he's going to prevent all of those pushes from that big door, which is going to be big. But Stellar, that's a big kill because that's 3 dead. Lucid, though, the last player alive, going to milk as much time as possible while his team spawns on tower.
Well, I thought he would have, again, as the last player live, rotate to play the ball, but he instead rotates to try to find the respawners. But Space Station were fast on the approach, and now look what SSG has won. They've won tower side control. Watch out, overshield spawning just 2 seconds away. Lucid might be the first one to go for it. Lucid comes out with a double kill, and he clears a path for OpTic to win back that overshield. They're going to be mounting their push. Space Station are forced to play the ball off the map, and Space Station are out of numbers as OpTic wins slay after slay.
Did you see what Lucid did there, though? It's actually so beautiful, right? He goes towards B to block the B spawns, then goes towards A when he has 2 players from SSG isolated to then, you know, force the other spawners to be on B. Just, you know, having that spawn knowledge in the game, in the moment, is so very difficult, and you know, something that OpTic, you know, are very strong with. But SSG finally have this ball. They finally get a kill on the board as well, and hopefully they can take this and build a little bit of momentum on their side. They're only down by 10 seconds now.
Yeah, they definitely cut into that lead, and it was, I think it was Formal holding the oddball for OpTic in the back, and he tries to throw it off the edge. He got caught on that little lip, but this time, nothing's getting caught on the edge of the map. APG's gonna send the ball to the players, and, you know, your grandma off the side of the map. Like, I don't even know. Everything flying over the side of the map. Hope not. With Trippy here, it was a 1v2 situation. 2 players from SSG, and right now, SSG have the numbers advantage. APG is the last alive. They need to take advantage as they take that lead.
Yeah, great job as well. You know, they got knowledge on the spawns onto A. This is going to get them another 10 seconds or so, and they can get these slays. It could be more. And slays are exactly what you get with this heat wave in hand. Look at the rotation as well. That's such a good double. And the rotation. SSG starting to wake up. Is the rocket ship ready to launch, Magic? That's my question.
I mean, I hope so. I hope so. We're just not ready for this winner's final to be done yet. And Eco is not ready to be eliminated from the winner's bracket yet either. He gets the shots. The heat wave, though, falls into the hands of Formal. Formal once again making that clutch play. But Space Station are giving OpTic a run for the money only. They have that 14-second lead, but 3 go down. Lucid is roaming with the bandit, and he's a problem. The fight for overshield, it's Eco versus Trippy. Trippy's gonna win that out, and on the other side of the map, OpTic are winning the oddball as well.
Yeah, it's just the timing right there, right? SSG go down at the worst time, and because of that, OpTic are able to get this overshield. It is pretty much dissipated, but regardless, it's not in the hands of SSG, which is where SSG obviously won it. And a lead, of course, like you said, being gained by OpTic that entire time on that B side, and they continue to grow that lead as time goes on. Those are the 1v1s that I'm looking for Bound to win there, Magic. I mean, if I'm looking at Bound as being one of the best players in the game, I look at him winning those individual fights versus Trippy there, and just doesn't seem to be happening.
Well, we do see Space Station are winning some 1v1s. In fact, all 4 go down for OpTic. And look at how quickly they capitalize on the objective time. They're only 13 seconds down, rotating back here to tower. Stellar's locking down the nest for the first pick. Unfortunately, it's Bound being taken down. He's hitting that respawn screen, and Formal is continuing to put pedal to the metal. The lead has been shrinking. Space Station off the respawn are trying to regroup. There's the play ball, but only a 4-second advantage. The winner of this reset might just take the round.
Yeah, we're starting to see some slays though on the side of SSG. If you look at the slay numbers, they're pretty even across the board, you know, bar a couple kills here and there. But that's a good sign for SSG as well, because you know, they're getting those slays, and you know, ball time being, you know, spread across the board too here. So it's wins like that from APG again. You know, a 2-second lead. The teamwork out of OpTic so very strong. 3 down for SSG once again, and they're going to get some more time here.
And look at how APG and Lucid are swapping roles, right? So far, Lucid has been the one slaying and APG has been the objective, but APG gets those kills and the communication comes through like, I got this. You go out there and slay, but unfortunately, it's a heat wave in the hands of Bound. You said this is a key player to watch out for that Space Station needs to rely on, but it's Bound, the Rookie of the Year versus the MVP. Lucid ends up as a net trade and the fight goes for Overshield. A nice little lead here from OpTic, 17 seconds, but the round of slays is starting to go in the favor of SSG.
Yeah, SSG did have 3 down there, and with that Overshield coming up, that could be very good for SSG, and it ends up being so. They end up getting that Overshield due to the spawns that's in the hands of Bound now. We'll see what he's able to do with it. This might get them this lead.
Bound needs to play big here, and a trade is not going to be enough. OpTic did need to focus him. You can see all 4 players from OpTic gave their attention to Overshield. Meanwhile, look at the rotation of the Oddball going all the way back through Garage, all the way to Big Door, because if they can get to the back of B, they have that play ball potential, but it's ABG sneaking through the line of defense, stealing that position. OpTic Gaming still holding on to the 3-point lead as Formal picks up the fight in the Big Door. He gets 1 kill. Does he milk his life? 10 seconds left for OpTic, and Trippy continues rotating. This Oddball has gone on a trek, a lap around the map, and I don't know that anyone from Space Station can get there in time.
Yeah, 2 seconds remaining, make it 1. There it is. OpTic take the very first round, but now without a massive fight there from SSG. SSG looking extremely healthy in that first round. Let's see if they can step it up a notch for that second one.
I don't know how APG broke through that hold, because you saw Space Station holding the Oddball to back of A and rotating to B, and then next thing you know, APG says he's cradling that skull in his arms like a baby and like protecting it at all costs. And that steal ultimately is what led to the round 1 win for OpTic, hoping to make this a 3-0 sweep, but we're hoping for an extension on this series. Space Station, they need to fire off that rocket, and they need to do it quickly. Hopefully the use of this Overshield can be a part of that. It's Trippy in the fight, but no, he takes down Penguin. Another trade of kills. Eco finds a kill. Eco needing the double kill. And this fight for Overshield has taken every player down except for Lucid.
Except for the MVP. Now he's got the snipe to work with as well. And I kind of like this aggression out of him, right? His teammates are on the respawn, but he's got the Overshield and the power up and to work with. The only thing is, that OS is completely null and void now. The sniper is going to get lost here if Eco gets this kill, but the team is so solid. 2 down for each squad, but OpTic already have the ball inside of A, and they've got those spawns on B as well.
All right, it might be Penguin versus APG. APG down by the rat tunnel, hide behind the pillar. Penguin didn't see him. Now he caught some wind. They trade out on melees, and it's the help from Space Station. Penguin trying to stay alive, but this is a trap. The pinch is in. 2 players distraction at Big Door. 1 player flanking around behind, and Space Station are dropping 1 at a time. But Bound is clutching up. Bound gets the triple. It's the last alive for SSG.
That's what we need to see out of Bound. That's exactly what I was talking about there. One of the best players in the game. He got Rookie of the Year last year for a reason. We're starting to see that showcase right now. 19 and 17, and look at the amount of ball time he has too.
He's doing everything, right? He's getting the slays. He's getting the objective. Bound is actually the player for SSG that's keeping them in the fight, but is it going to be enough? I'm waiting for the rest of that roster to kind of rally behind those opening breaks. For now, it hasn't been enough to steal the lead. Oh, sorry, they do have the lead, but they're about to lose that lead. Stellar had the Overshield, and once again, quickly negated by the team fire.
That OS went down so quickly. He didn't even get to look at it. But all the while, again, like you talked about earlier, Magic, OpTic find the way to get this scrap time, and that's going to bring them up by about 14 seconds here, 13 seconds, and that's going to add up at the end of the day, especially having that very big cushion in that first round.
A little bit of numbers advantage right here for Space Station. They get 2 down. Here comes APG across C, but look how far away he is from the objective. So Space Station are winning the slays. They're winning the advantageous spawns. And hopefully right now, I'm holding my breath. No, it's a tie game. I was hopefully gonna say winning back the lead, but it's Lucid who gets the double kill. Trippy and Lucid are pinching here at the back of B. Trippy has shots off on the target, and right at the brink of SSG taking the lead, OpTic shut that hold down.
Yeah, OpTic have control of the power weapons as well in this heat wave. You see Trippy does take a lot of damage here, but this is the damage you play off of, right? You get a player down to no shield, you're able to act on it and potentially push off of it, but they did push off of it. Only thing is, Trippy got those low percentage kills, and that was, initially 3 dead, and it's 3 dead once again, and that's going to be OpTic with more time on the board, and the power weapons in the hands of them as well.
Wait, what are low percentage kills? Like when players are low on health?
No, essentially a low percentage kill is a kill that you're not supposed to get. So if like essentially you're no shields and you're supposed to die, but you end up getting 2-3 kills, yeah.
A kill against all odds, you know,
right.
An unlikely kill, and it's all just gravy right there for OpTic, as they do have the lead. 20 plus seconds of a lead. SSG now to holding the ball at the back of C. Can they rotate the high ground? Not if Formal has his way with that sniper as he finds the takedown. They have the numbers. Almost a desperate approach here at elbow, but Formal finds the no-scope body shot, cleans it up. OpTic have everything. Sniper, overshield, oddball, and SSG have maybe only one thing, and that's one last chance to break this hold.
And heart. They have heart. We just got to find it somewhere. 2 down once again.
Heartbroken.
Yes, unfortunate for them. OpTic look extremely strong. We can't take anything away from them. SSG definitely, like I said before, not playing at 100%. We haven't truly seen that. We've seen glimpses of it today, but OpTic looking practiced, looking like an incredible squad right now. It's not over just yet, but it's going to take a miracle at this point, and 4 dead, that could be the start of it.
Okay. We were about to read the eulogy here for Space Station, but they get the team wipe instead. So full credit to SSG for staying in the fight, but they need to play perfect Halo. OpTic only need 3 seconds of ball time, so you'll see Trippy off of that kill, immediately pick up the oddball, and that's it. The finishing touches, the cherry on top. OpTic take winners final 3-0.
Wow. You had talked to, I was watching a little bit of the broadcast earlier. You were talking to your duo Mikowski, and he had said, I believe he had said this is an OpTic that looks way better than they did when they played against that phase. At the time, to be honest with you, I was like, I have to see a little bit more, but 100% correct. Mikowski, 100% correct. This OpTic gaming roster looks so much better than they did before, and this is what it takes, right? You've got to hit those peaks and valleys. Sometimes, you get to a point where you've got to break through something to get better. And, when you're the #1 team in the world, that's one of the hardest things to do, is remain the #1 team, but it takes hard work like what OpTic have done here to solidify that, and they're looking incredibly good here going into this next LAN.
This might be some of the best Halo we have ever seen from OpTic, and I think the word that I used in describing it was that they have evolved, and then Mikowski added some nerdy Pokemon reference or whatever. So, at the end of the day, we're both in agreement, though, that OpTic is looking very strong, ready to defend that #1 seed, and keeping teams like FaZe, like SSG held at arm's length. I did not expect this to be a 3-0. SSG looked very strong against FaZe in the semifinals, but it kind of goes back to your point, Active. They're a little bit hit or miss, and unfortunately, this series was a miss.
Yeah, and the good thing about SSG is, we're seeing a better SSG than we saw previous in this season, and that's what I want to see going into that LAN. I think they've got a little more work to do, and I have no doubt that they will bring their absolute best gameplay going into LAN, but it's great to see those sparks of greatness out of them. Hopefully we can continue to see them get better and evolve as well, because with these meta changes, with the changes of the weapons and the red racks and all of that, and the shroud screen being added, you gotta adapt to the meta, and I think that OpTic has now done so. We'll see if SSG is able to do the same.
Definitely was fun to watch both these teams go head to head, but right now OpTic looking like the team to beat, as Space Station is going to be dropped into the lower bracket. Don't count them out yet. Maybe they're still in that warm-up stage of the bracket. We know that they can really turn it up when they need to, so maybe a lower bracket run is in the futures, in the cards here for SSG. And on that note,